I'm Emily Leiker, here with Andrew Krammer, both of us your Access Vikings reporters for the day, as we give you a little bit of update after the first 2 days that fans were allowed out here at practice. Both days have been scorchers, topping out at 88 degrees, which I don't think anyone's built for out here, but still.
Not us. Those Florida football players maybe, but not us.
Still, lots of fans out to see JJ McCarthy, to see the first day of padded practice. I mean, Andrew, what stood out to you particularly in these past 2 days?
Yeah, this is finally what Vikings fans should have been waiting for. I feel bad for the fans who came out here because it was not the most comfortable environment in these bleachers getting cooked under the sun, but they pay $88 million to Will Fries. They pay all this money to Ryan Kelly, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, to see them in pads, to see them blowing people up. And as Brian O'Neill told me after practice, he said, we do all this work from May, June, all this stuff in the offseason, the training for this moment to actually play the real sport. So what stood out to me was that we finally got to see what these offensive and defensive lines looked like out there. And the defensive lines, usually the defense is ahead of the offense at this point, and they were ahead of the offense and young JJ McCarthy right away. Emily, we didn't see the young quarterback get too much time to throw out there.
Yeah, the outside linebacking group in particular has been really hot in that backfield. Not just Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, but I think Dallas Turner has really taken a step up too, just from where we saw him at the end of last season. And of course, we've heard that. You wrote about that last week and the progress that he's made since last season. But man, does he look fast out there. He's back in that backfield in a snap of the fingers.
He was, and it was against the twos and his one-on-one pass rushing drills, but he put a move on, I think it was Leroy Watson, the backup left tackle, a spin move that looked like Everson Griffin for those Vikings fans who saw him do that for many, many years. He looks bigger, Dallas Turner does. He looks more of the part at this point in his second training camp, which is to be expected, but it does seem like it's more than just lip service. You see him out there doing the things that teammates are cheering him on and praising him up for in ways that they don't have to do. So I think that's a good development for them. Another good development for these Vikings is that Will Fries, the aforementioned guard they spent all the money on that we talk about, he was coming off a broken leg last fall, and he was here now taking his first full team practices right at the start of these padded sessions. He's not wasting any time once the pads come back on, which is a great sign because they need this offensive line to come together. And that's the flip side of us talking about the D-line doing well, is that JJ is going to need some protection up front.
Yeah, and we had heard that Fries was physically ready to go, but just needed to kind of get caught up on some of the playbook stuff and the terminology and all that. So I can't say I was too surprised that we finally saw him in action now that pads have come on and things have gotten serious and started in earnest. But certainly good to actually see that happen and have him get out there. And I think my takeaway from having him return is that Donovan Jackson was still at left guard for a lot of, if not all of those first team snaps. And so that has not just been a case of them needing to fill spots with Fries out and then of course Christian Darrisaw still out at left tackle. They want Donovan Jackson there in that left guard role.
It seems that way. As much as Kevin O'Connell talks about a competition at that spot, it's not a competition in which we're seeing Blake Brandel get any reps at that spot. They're just going off of what Blake did in the past because Blake is taking the reps off of Fries at right guard. He's even working in a little bit at center at times, can work at tackle like he did in college. So he's moving around. It seems like they're getting him ready for a backup role and giving Donovan, as you said, every chance to take that starting job by week one. He's the huge, massive 6'4", kind of a bully type blocker that they needed to add to this group. And the fact that they've got him in there now and are giving him all these reps, like you said, Emily, it doesn't seem like it's much of a competition as much as, hey, Donovan, go take it, and please don't give us a reason to take it back from you.
For sure. We should mention that the last thing that we talked about with you guys on video was Josh Metellus, his contract extension, and he had been out through Saturday. He was out, he got injured after first day of practice, so Wednesday.
Missed three acclimation days.
Three acclimation days. Was back in practice today, was mixed back in with the secondary. That has been changing around a lot. I'm sure we'll talk to you guys about that more when we do a full-length podcast, but that's certainly been interesting to watch.
It has, because Josh has been in and out, obviously for the ankle reasons, contract reasons, whatever, but he's also been in and out because they're just mixing personnel groupings. And you're seeing Josh play a base safety position that when Cam was here, he didn't often play. And so Brian Flores is going to ask the question of, is he going to have more of a traditional role for Brian Flores? And Flores is saying, well, whatever we do with him, it's not going to be traditional. But Josh is going to have to play more of that deep half safety stuff, the stuff that fans and even coaches critique him on at times and say he's not the exact best fit for that. So it's fascinating to see how they're going to play with him in his role this year, especially with Harrison Smith and capable deep cover guys like Byron Murphy Jr. up front, Isaiah Rodgers, who's been out with an undisclosed injury the last 2 days. the corner from the Eagles coming over to start. They have different versatile speed guys that they might not need a traditional deep half safety to still get it done with him in that spot. But if you're coming out here to training camp this week or at any point, you're going to want to see who they're putting in there, how they're mixing the personnel, because Flores can end up playing 16, 18, 20 guys on a given Sunday in different roles.
Yeah, and then Justin Jefferson, our other guy that's been out that we haven't talked about a ton. No real update there. He's still dealing with that minor hamstring injury. We have seen him out at the last 2 practices. He's there. He's still talking guys through stuff. I watched him talk Jordan Addison through a rep today. They were looking at the video boards after a rep and kind of walked through things. I could see Jordan kind of hand gesturing, talking to Jefferson, and he was being a good listener and listening to him. But I will note that he is wearing a leg sleeve, so there is stuff going on there. But I did see him jogging around. He's not running full speed, but he is jogging around. He jogged off after walkthrough. He jogged onto the field later when he showed up for practice. So he's working through something, but the minor tag still there feels accurate.
Yeah, that was a good way. It was a good way of you to kind of point that out to us up there watching practice, because I didn't notice that. Yeah, Justin is hurt. This just happened a couple days ago, and he's kind of jogging, racing after his teammates, not really acting like a guy that shouldn't be doing
dancing.
Yeah, exactly, dancing around. Now, obviously, hamstring injuries. He had the one 2 years ago, missed 7 games. People who suffer them will tell you what you can't do is sprint, and what you really don't know is until you open it up and sprint, you really don't know if that thing's fully healed. So he's not quite doing that, but it's not such a bad, debilitating injury that this guy is put on ice, not allowed to walk around or run around. This does seem to be a minor version of the hamstring strain that he's dealing with. However, it makes everyone brace because these things recur, these things pop back up. They're just tricky injuries you don't want to have around. But it is good that, like you said, you saw him running around there, seemed to be in good spirits, and somebody who isn't too worried about missing time down the road.
You can read about all of this and more at thestartribune.com or watch for more on the Star Tribune's YouTube with our Access Vikings podcast, and we'll check in with you again soon.